Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gundy Keller. It's such a pleasure to have you as a guest on this show, and it's show number 18. I think we just turned 18. So, yeah.
But first of all, thanks for having me.
Big pleasure.
And another fact is we never ever play together.
No.
We've known ourselves for decades.
Yeah, we go back, you know, the trade show days. And I found a picture, which is this picture here. On this picture, you can see me being in the corner last century and some Roland cases. And I guess this might be yours.
Might be hiding behind the curtain. Yeah,
yeah,
I can remember, yes.
Do you remember which town it was or event?
Around 87, 88.
Oh, yeah. That long, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. See, so we know each other for decades and life is still good. And I think we've seen the world a couple of times, traveling the world. You have been mostly with BOSS and Roland.
Yes.
And I think Gundy is the guy that knows multi-effects better than anybody else that I've ever met on this planet, because you've been involved into the designs of some of the Roland and BOSS products, and the way you demonstrated them, this is always what I saw from your side, was very impressive, because I could see, you know, there was, you know, kick-ass playing, there was a guy that had kick-ass groove, and there was a guy that knew how to get the sounds in a way that it was really grabbing people's attention. So you know what you've been doing.
And, you know, to tell you the truth, I was a pain in the butt for the Japanese, you know, because I was the idiot that had to demonstrate the gear,
right.
And I forced them to make it better and better and better. Honestly, I would have liked to play regular tube amps, you know, like in real life. But the whole job was so challenging to get something out of a unit that you would normally not get right away or use right away.
Yeah.
So it was a challenging but also a very educative time.
Sure, but I could hear the results, and the results were always very impressive. It's like you go on a trade show and then you see people like go, or just me, you know, around the corner, you know, I had my booth over there, you know, yours were, you know, on some other corner, and then I was listening to the noise and the killer playing, and the sounds, they sounded like spot on. But I know also how it feels to be on stage playing something that is maybe not 100% your cup of tea, but you made it sound the way it should.
I can remember the first time I saw you at Houston Kettner, sometime in '88, in the morning around 9:45 or 10 o'clock. You came in way too late, and you had the nerve to change the guitar strings in front of the audience.
Sure.
And I was like, you know, how cool is that?
Well, you know, I'm still kind of that kind of guy, because I noticed there's two ways. Some is I can prepare, and I know that you have to be prepared for certain jobs. On the other hand, I always played that guitar, and there's one thing about that guitar, it always works. It always works.
It never leaves you in the lurch.
Yeah,
so to speak.
And and so that's something I can count on.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
it got a little dirty though.
Yes,
we
yes,
saw
yes.
pictures, brand new.
Wait a minute. You have to see this. You have to see this just for the change. So this is young Mr. Blug, and I show this into this camera here. Look at how white this guitar is. There's not even a stain on it. I mean, now it's heavy relics, and
can we say you invented relicking? Kind of.
I think no, there were people before me like Rory Gallagher, you know, but probably I was the one that did it to white strats, you know. So that's one, and this is me, you know, being totally clean in my studio days. With a very nice, precise haircut. Precise.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, and this is maybe something you talking about using Kettner morning hours with the leather trousers. Yeah, we go back in the days.
Well, I got pictures too.
Yeah, and Raoul Walton on bass, and this was cool to have a guy to team up with for the audience, you know, because standing there alone is one thing, and then.
Well, we both know the feeling, and due to cost reasons and to make things more simple, I had to travel by myself most of my career for BOSS and Roland.
Yeah.
And for other companies too, and you know, it feels terrible.
Yeah.
I just hate it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, for me, I know what you mean. You travel somewhere, you take a flight just by yourself, you drive with a car. And, you know, of course, if you are a group and there's always somebody that follow up, that fuck it up or that help you, but, you know, sometimes it's a lot of pressure that it's...
Absolutely.
And I know especially when you work with multi-effect units that are kind of a complex type of gear.
Universe.
Yeah, universe. I had a few amps that I designed with using Kettner that were programmable. I mean, I'm talking that the biggest one was the Zentera, which was like kind of modeling amp. And I worked with using Kettner 5 years to design the whole thing. And then, of course, when you present the whole thing, it should be spot on. And
sometimes it doesn't.
And sometimes it doesn't.
Due to several reasons, you know.
Yeah.
Because preparing these units at home on your speaker system, you bring it to another place, and it's totally different. Same situation here for today. So, I mean, I sent out a lot of Facebook and WhatsApp messages, you know, to present my new setup here, to have maximum sound and minimum workload.
Yeah.
But I saw your face when I came in. I brought so much gear today to be able to show you guys a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
That's the reality. But anyway, you know, multiple effects is a pain in the butt, but also
it's a great thing if it works.
If it works, and if you kind of are willing to go deep.
Yeah.
You know?
You have to master it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's two choices. One is you master the unit, or the unit masters you. And here comes in Gundy's the gkmasterclass.com, which is Gundy as the expert helps you to get this thing mastered. So,
you know, the whole thing came to my mind when I was traveling through the countries and shops like you did, and I saw the staff not being able to handle all the different manufacturers' gear.
True, it's too much.
It's way too much,
yeah.
You know, and even I lost control of what's available nowadays. So I started out in Germany to offer a Masterclass, which is a coaching that allows a guy to bring in his whole shitload of gear and then starts from scratch.
Right.
And from scratch means pedals and amps, or just your guitar and an amplifier, and then you transfer that knowledge into these things.
Right.
Guitar players are not willing to read a manual.
We know
have this RTF thing going on.
Yeah,
you know?
read the fucking manual. Blah, blah, blah.
But everybody keeps buying these monsters right here and spending thousands and thousands of hours, you know, to get deeply into the apps and the function and whatnot.
Yeah.
And this is just a powerful tool, just like a Word or Excel program or like Logic, Cubase or whatever. You can decide how deep you go.
Right.
The thing is, you can get lost.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the basic knowledge, how to use an amplifier with a two screamer, or when to use a compressor, or where to put a noise gate, what is a send and return effect loop, you know, and balance out levels. I mean, the good thing about playing guitar is you never get bored.
Absolutely not. Never.
You know, since I'm a bass player too, I started playing bass gigs because you come on with your bass, one or two effects, plug into the PA system,
and music.
And you're done.
Yeah, music.
You know, and here we go, being stressed out with 2 or 3 backup guitars and, you know, having all these switching boards and whatnot.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't want to complain, but I prefer to use a multiple effects with a tube amplifier.
Yeah.
In order to get a whole bunch of a whole different variety of tones by the flick of a switch, just like the old Bradshaw systems, switching systems, right? And recently I started to, feel that the volumes get dropped everywhere in the clubs. You have to play at lower volume, so bringing a Plexi Marshall
it's not a choice
sense
anymore.
And these things sound wonderful, because you as a player wouldn't appear with something that you don't feel comfortable with.
Nope.
This is why I started to jump on this AMP1 train about 3 years ago.
Right.
Did a couple of videos.
Thank you so much for this. And when you played the first combination of the AMP1 with the GT10 back then, I was blown away. It's like, man, I can hear the amp, but I can hear more. And this is the thing. You as a player, as a guy that knows the multi-effects, and as a studio owner, Gundy has a studio. He is a producer as well.
And I got 14 tube amps.
Yeah. So he's got the ears, he's got the chops, and with all this knowledge, when I heard your first demo with the combination of AMP1 and GT10, I was simply blown away. And then you made a kind of a whole series. Actually, we should make some links in this live stream below.
Later on,
Later on, so you can listen to those sounds again. And down low here.
As a matter of fact, I brought the GT10 because this is rather new. I just changed to this kind of setup because it gives me much more switching options.
More functionalities or whatever.
Right, but still an older unit. I even see guys with the BOSS GT5 that was brought out in 1996.
See, I see guys with the 61 Strat.
Yes, wait a minute. And you have to know your gear.
Yeah.
And I know exactly what the disadvantages are. I don't want to glorify multiple effects because some guys sometimes came to me at a trade show and say, yeah, you're like a pedal pope or a meaty guitarist or whatever, I just took the job seriously and squeezed the best out of it.
But by doing that, you are better than the rest, and this is why you are the Pope.
Okay.
Sorry for being the Pope,
Well, anyway, there's a whole bunch of other guys that know exactly what to do with it.
Yeah.
You gotta spend some time and find out what is the advantage and the disadvantage of digital gear.
Right.
And of course, it does steal away some substance. We have a digitalization of the signal,
right?
And but most of the guys complain about these things, but also have TC electronics, G-force in the effects loop or a digital delay or whatever.
It's still a digital device,
Okay, so anyway, this setup, the small AMP1 plus the GT10 gives you the option to basically cover pretty much everything that you're looking for.
Right.
Now, I say pretty much. I mean, you have to, set borders, and it's got its limits. But as a guitar player, I basically need 4 sounds. Okay.
Yeah. Let's.
The first thing I'm looking for is a real cool, clean sound. No. Okay.
We have to mention one thing. You are using the blue box, and the blue box is put on like our favorite setting, which is also my favorite setting, which is the Stack 1970.
Yeah.
Correct? So just as a reference point. So all the sounds we're listening to is coming from this combination.
Sometimes I prefer to go Stack 1980. So in this case,
Go ahead. Yeah.
I would rather switch to a different setting, but let's just live with it.
No,
currently.
Whatever is your
I want to
choice.
basically explain what do you need as a guitar player, right?
Is it clean?
And instead of doing the pedal, the step dance, the pedal dance, I want to switch on one button and get from clean to crunch, you know. With all the effects added, but the basic sound
is the AMP1.
Is the AMP1.
So this is
currently on channel 2,
which is the vintage channel,
which is my favorite.
Hey, mine too. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is like the first sound was the clean channel, and now we are on the vintage channel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Then we got channel 3. Okay, so, and just to tell you something in between, I want dead silence, just like in the studio.
Yeah.
And whenever I recorded a lot for producers in the 80s and 90s, and they said, we want a clean signal, especially when you fade out, when you fade in. And the things got 2 noise gates, and they are interacting with your input signal.
Yeah,
okay. So
the trigger is from the guitar input, and then the noise gate sits behind the preamps, so it makes sure that the noise is not there, but the trigger is so sensitive. By the way, that's the same way that the noise gate in the AMP1 also works.
But this is analog, right?
That's analog, yeah.
So this is full on.
Yeah.
This is the absolute maximum you can get from the channel 3. And even if you roll down, you know, you can hear the noise gates start to flicker. But basically, it catches the full dirt. Yeah. But I got dirt in the unit too, just like all the guitar and the amps too. So, and the last sound you need is like a high gain distorted sound, maybe with a 3 dB boost, you know. Okay, so I want to switch from these 4 patches. These are the basic sounds that I take care the most. Yeah. You know, I take a couple of hours to make them straight.
Absolutely.
And then I just take copies of it and put them somewhere else. Yeah. For instance, you know, this is... vibrato.
Yeah, super,
you know?
Nice.
And also turning it down, no noise at all. Okay,
yeah.
So here's another famous one. You know, the funny thing is, I have a lot of customers that say, I don't use any effects. And to me, it's like, okay, what kind of spices do you use for cooking? Yeah. It's the same kind of question. And then I ask them, what is your favorite guitar player? And a lot of times they say David Gilmour.
Yeah, but he has tons of
effects. The Edge of U2.
Yeah.
Right? And they just know how to use the ton of effects. And over here, I got a compressor, I got some EQing, I got a Univibe, I got a phaser in there, lots of delay, lots of reverb, and then you get this stuff. But the basic sound is coming out of channel 1 from the AMP1.
Yeah.
Right? So another clean tone is like... with rotation on
and the Leslie is also coming from the GT10 right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just to make it clear to people, this is using the 4-cable method.
Yes.
Yeah.
And still today, a lot of guys are asking, what is the 4-cable method?
Yeah.
But just think, wah-wah pedal
Yeah.
and a tube screamer.
Yeah.
With your guitar into the amp is
Yeah.
two cables.
Yeah.
A delay in the send and return
Turn is another 2 cables.
is 2 cables.
Yeah.
This is the 4 cables.
Yeah.
Okay? So your preamplifier is sitting in between,
Yeah.
and the whole soup is directed to the power amplifier.
Yeah.
Right? So that is the method that I've been using throughout all my career.
Sure.
I started out with a Mesa Boogie Mark IIB.
Same as me.
Really? You gotta
Yeah.
be kidding.
Yeah, I got one of these cream ones, you know, with a. Wait a minute. I have some old pictures.
Oh, he's
Let
got
me
his
see in my
photo
old
album
picture
out there.
books. Yet now we have to go back. Mr. Blugie, old days, very old days. Where
You
is
gotta
it?
be careful with those pictures, you know. There's a lot
Sure.
of private stuff in there, right?
There's a lot of old shit in there. Wait a minute. Let me see. Where's my very old books? I have to show you.
So just to finish that, the Boogie Mark II did have an effects loop, even with a send and return level, as I remember. And you could connect like a digital delay or analog tape
Right.
echo, you know, Electro-Harmonix, Electric Mistress or whatever. And yeah.
Where's my? Then the very old books are not even here. Okay, doesn't matter. No, but I actually had a cream Mesa Boogie MK2B, the same. Did you have the one with the tube in the first stage, or with these fat tube replacements? You remember?
It was built 1979, so I can tell you.
I bought mine in the early 80s from the guy from what's the band called? They had a hit, Charlene. Charlie T played in the band from Mönchengladbach, Germany. Anyway,
Wallenstein.
Wallenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I bought the amp. I didn't have a driver's license. I was 16
This
maybe.
is crazy.
And a friend of mine had a firefighter's car, an old one, and I worked for him. So he was driving me all the way up to this Mönchengladbach, which is by car, but with a modern car, it's like a 2.5 hours ride.
Yeah.
But with the firefighter's car, it took like 5 hours.
I can't tell you how much money I paid. You know,
I tell you, I had to work my whole summer holidays.
Same with me.
And I had a job. I was installing radio alarms in a hotel, and this was my biggest business as a teenager. I sold 200 radios, and I installed them.
Crazy.
You know, every bed had like one on each side. You know, like a double bed.
Yeah.
And I think there are 200 rooms or whatever, 200 radios and the whole shit. And so I had to make the whole, fit them in, have a vacuum cleaner, one side, next room. And this took me 6 weeks. And after doing the 6 week,
You had the money.
I had the money.
Yeah.
And this was all the fucking money I had to pay for just a single amp. And then I found out the amp was kind of nice and gainy and clean, was okay, but it didn't have any balls for me because
It was the wrong amplifier for me.
same here.
I, had a preference for Carlos Santana,
Yeah.
Larry Carlton, this kind of thing. And it's not the sound that it was after. So anyway, I sold it for just about the same money.
Yeah, same
and
here.
Got it into
Yeah.
a different kind of thing. So anyway,
Yeah.
these units can do more than just switch for patches. They can also go into a manual mode and turn all these knobs into something that you would have on, for instance, your pedal board.
Right.
Like turning on a tube screamer or a
Analog
phaser
pedals
or whatever,
kind of
right?
thing. Yeah.
So in order to get this together, you really have to spend the time to make a plan and to build the house,
Yeah.
okay? But remember the times when we put together these gigantic racks
Sure.
for, I don't know how many Deutschmarks back then, 15,000, 20,000 with the H&H V500 slaves.
And rack
and,
space full of effects like
breaking our necks, and it's just stupid.
Yeah, but we've been there.
We've been there, and that's why I could also pass on the knowledge to Roland and Boss. And now we have, equipment-wise, the times have never been better than
Today.
Today.
Correct.
You know? We're spoiled.
Yeah. We have a lot of gear around which is actually affordable. You know, because back in the days, stuff was really expensive. I think.
But you know what? I enjoyed it more because you had to suffer. You had to wait for like a year and a half to really get it. And nowadays you can just order it. You know, a day
Online,
later
and
it's there.
Yeah.
And
It's
the
not
excitement
special.
is not the same.
Yeah, it's
anymore.
not special anymore. So yeah, but I'm also at the point where gear came to a point. I kind of got everything that I want. You know, I found my guitar, I found my amps, and finally I built my own amp. So you know, and the next mission I'm on is getting the next level with the Amp X. But basically, I can do everything that I want to do with the AMP1, and it's just more convenience factor.
I can't say I got everything I want, but everything I need, you
Yeah.
know, especially with a small unit. And I face a lot of gigs where guys go like, okay, digital, all right. And one guy even said, an amplifier that doesn't smell and make noise and look dirty can't sound.
Well, that's
You know?
yeah. But that's the typical voodoo bullshit, you know. I mean, smell a Vox amp and you can smell the cat pee from the guy that
Or,
owned it. Yeah.
It's burning down, you know.
Yeah. And you know, there's you know, it's all exciting, and
It's
know,
like having old timers, you know, vintage cars.
Yeah, vintage cars.
It's the same thing.
But you know, I know the smell of the old glue from Fender amps. I know how shitty Vox amps smell.
Yeah.
Fender actually has a nice smelling glue. I can smell.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you have to take it? I mean, we could do a blindfold test one day. You know, just sniffing Fender versus Marshall and Vox and whatever.
Okay.
And, Fender I like. Vox is not my cup of tea. And but hey, when you start to play, for me it's something else. The tone makes me come alive as a musician.
Yes.
And then I simply forgot if it was a smelly Vox, Marshall or Fender. I just need this tonal substance.
I can confirm this because sometimes I stumble over an old recording, and stupid me didn't make a note what I used.
Yeah.
And I start to like it, and I investigate my files, and all of a sudden I realize it's not a tube amp. It was something else, but it was just right for the moment.
And then
okay,
it's okay. It's good. I mean, whatever, you know, Jeff Beck, my hero. Some of the stuff, of course, he played with kind of GTM 45s and you know, great amps. But like in the 90s, I mean, people get ready. I think it's a Rockman, Tom Scholz Rockman, you know. As everybody today would plug in a Rockman, would go, this is like the most processed sound ever, you know. But he made it sound alive.
and Boston was just
Tom Scholz, you know,
getting famous with it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a saying that the tone lies in your fingers, which I agree, right? But give a real shitty piece of equipment that doesn't also interact with the player.
Yeah.
You don't feel correct, you don't play as good.
Yeah.
I'm very sensitive to that.
No, me too.
know?
If I have a shitty sound, I play shit. That's
Right. You just function. You know?
yeah. I mean, you can do always something that people think he is okay. But
Do you remember Music China 2005 where you showed the Triamp?
Yeah.
And the noise pollution was like 95 dB or whatever. You could barely hear a backing track.
Yeah.
And we both had to play there.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt miserable.
I know. I can tell you a story about Music China. Was you know, we had neighbors on this stage or that stage, and then it was kind of the fight of who's got the biggest PA.
Okay.
You know, and then I remember another story from Musikmesse Frankfurt. There was Warwick next to Kettner back then,
With Bootsy Collins, right?
Exactly. You know, and of course they went for it, and they had their fun. And I don't mind Bootsy Collins. I'm a big fan of
Madison Square Garden volume.
Yeah, of course. And the problem is they never stopped.
Okay.
So, and I had to do my job. And of course I was asking for, where's my slot? When can I do a demo? And I want to be nice and polite and arrange myself with the other players in the hall to get something done. But then they overplayed every day. And then I asked the guy from Jusen Kettner from HK Audio, the owner of the company, Lothar, what can we do? And the next day he got 15,000 watt PA.
You back order.
We killed him. We simply killed them.
Okay.
So, and that's the same thing at Music China. I called the Chinese and said, hey guys, we need more PA. And there was the full PA. And the rest of this corner was
away.
Yeah,
That's
they were gone. It was like, bye-bye ukuleles, bye-bye whatever you do, drums, bye-bye. You know, but this is not the way how to deal it. You know. Anyway.
Coming back to the GT.
Yeah.
I mean, for you guys out there, today I came in and there's like a very small, tiny studio monitor.
It is that big, big. This is all
and
we got here.
the audio or the PA situation is always essential for your feel, right? So we will see where we get, and I'm just trying to show off options and strategies.
Right.
Regarding the tone, I would definitely take my time like I do in the videos, where I balance out, you know,
levels,
proper backing track, you know, and the product and the player. And so this can't happen today, so it's going to be Wild West. But who cares?
I have a few pictures of trade shows, because we go back on trade shows. You have to see this just because for fun. So this was, I don't know the year, somewhere in the 90s. Can we see that? And here's a few people. This is our dear colleague Geoffrey Whitehorn from Marshall. Geoffrey was always, for me, a killer guitar player who now plays in Procol Harum, and he played with them all. The Who, and I learned a lot of his phrasing. This is, by the way, Christopher Cross. He was at the NAMM show, and this was me on a roof of a Cadillac in Hollywood, in white trousers, you know, all that kind of funny things. And this is Jan Hammer, you know, kind of on the next booth. And then, of course, you know, he knows how to deal with guitar players, so we ended up jamming on the floor. And
he did a master record with Neil Schon.
Oh yeah, Jan Hammer and Schon. Yeah, I got that as well. Yeah, so these were the good old trade show days. And
well, speaking about pictures, maybe I show in some pictures that I found, and it was more about the metamorphosis of my hair, right? Because I started out with 70s style hairdos. So maybe, oh yeah, this is my first professional band. And look at the clothes.
Sure.
What year would you think is this?
This must be late 80s, because of the porno balken, which is the mustache.
No, you're wrong.
Wrong?
It is in the very beginning of the Neue Deutsche Welle, which was 1981.
Wow, 81. I picked up the guitar in 80, so
So you weren't there yet.
I wasn't on the scene yet.
All right, so maybe another one.
Wow.
Yeah, this is.
This is
I mean,
definitely
impeccable.
Art. This is definitely art. The hair is longer than my girlfriend's hair. Yeah,
and the pony had to be right over the eyes, you know.
Very female looking.
Crazy, absolutely crazy.
This would be something for David Bowie's band, and you could be genderless.
Yeah, genderless. But speaking about clothes, do you have some clothing pictures?
For mine?
Yeah.
Okay,
from
see,
the 90s.
so this is like me trying to be posh, you know. Me with a Paul Reed Smith and black clothes, but. Okay, we go back to this one. This is me trying to be cool in a white you know, this was maybe with my 3-piece band Dreist, or I don't know, in the early 90s. This was me with a gray jacket, by the way, with Gully, the guy from the Rock Anarchy. This was back then when we had a band, and then we lost contact for 20 years, and then we kind of reformed. This is like, we looked back in the days. This is me without having clothes on. Okay. This is me with my snakeskin jacket that I used when touring with the Rainbirds 1993, and a original 1956 Maple Neck Stratocaster, which is a killer guitar, which I was only borrowing. But I also had some heavy guitars. This was a Luck hamburger
French company.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah. And this was like when I did studio jobs for the power chords. This is like black and white shirts. Black and white shirts for backstage. What else? This is colorful shirts. Look how cheesy that is.
Well, I can probably top that with the picture with the makeup.
Yes,
and that
please.
was happening at the music messe where at the final Saturday dinner, a girl asked me, "Can I put makeup on your face?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" You know. So.
Yeah, again.
I mean, the ultimate drag queen.
Who's the girl?
Yeah, I forgot. That was happening at Music Messe, you know.
Well, you know, Music Messe was a big show back then.
We had so much fun, but it collapsed.
It collapsed,
It did die.
And here's another arty-farty shot. Maybe we can show this. So, and then, wait a minute, this is the arty-farty shot. And then when I joined Tic Tac Toe, I was wearing my skateboard dress. I don't drive any skateboard, you know. But
you look credible.
Well, the girls went shopping with me, and they decided I'm the skateboard guitar boy, and what else? But honestly, then I had a bit longer hair and the jeans, and then this is nice. This is me. This is me back in my, whatever, 20s, you know. Tasty, tasty. And then, of course, these were the gigs. We had so much fun, but we didn't look at the audience because we were too busy rocking out.
Yeah, that's the best. That's the absolute best.
Yeah, that's Gully, by the way.
As a matter of fact, I was a serious flying V player when I started out because one of my heroes was Michael Schenker.
Okay,
you know? And great tone and good phrasing, very, very cool melodies, and he had this juicy tone out
Absolutely.
of his marches.
Yeah, he had the juicy tone and killer phrasing and a good sense of melody.
At a very young age.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Tell, you know. So anyway, this unit is capable of giving you sounds that are very unusual to do with an average pedalboard. I mean, just plugging into your AMP1 wouldn't give me the options, you know, to go into all these directions. And when you do a cover gig or some studio gigs, sometimes they ask for that, you know, for this special kind of thing. This is another picture, and going from like. Right into, like, you know. Here's the next extreme. I go to, for instance, you know, if they ask for, like. Sometimes you you got to do stuff like this,
Sure.
right? Or you can do. Hold on. Can you
Kiss.
Yes, baby.
Okay.
Or something like this, you know.
Yeah, killer.
He plays it much more cultivated though. Or something like. This is, you know, I didn't switch the guitar at all, but I used a equalizer,
Yeah.
you know, to make it very sparkling,
Yeah.
took a lot of mids out, you know, make it very like a 70s Strat.
Yeah.
I mean, got it right there. So here's one for you. So this is what I'm fascinated about, the fact that I can switch from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
Okay. The downside of it is sometimes you want it a little more crunchy, a little louder, you know, a little more this, a little more that. And this is when a traditional pedal board, to me, has a great advantage. You can just go down and turn the knob.
One knob that is dedicated
Right,
for
you know?
one job.
So sometimes I use a compressor and a booster just along. In any case I need it, I have it.
Yeah, okay.
You know? But actually it's not necessary. You can use one of these control switches to be able to activate it, right? So here's another sound that, you know, Santana is sometimes impossible to copy, especially Samba Bati.
Yeah.
It's not super authentic, but as a player,
it gets you there.
Comfortable.
Yeah. It makes you scream and make. Sorry for not knowing the chords.
Well, this is part of the game here.
Yeah.
You know, we just improvise.
But you know, you have the honky mids, and it starts to talk, and this is what you need, and you get this in the combination from the pedal.
So, I mean, we wanted to do that too, but I think that we don't have too much time. I can turn a Stratocaster tone into an ultimate, you know,
Nosy
clocked up
Paul.
nosy Les Paul tone.
Yeah.
Of course, the hum is still there,
but the frequencies are there.
Right.
I know the game because I kind of built myself a pedal back in the days when I had to use a Les Paul on stage, but I didn't want to because I always play my white Strat. On stage, there is not a single photo until the last 2 days with me playing a different guitar than my Strat, and I had a pedal that made an EQ curve with a Strat to model that into a Les Paul. So that's my homemade pedal.
Right. Do you know this famous lick?
I'm thinking
Da
about...
war doch mal was.
What was it?
Doobie Brothers, China
okay.
Grove.
Yeah, okay.
This is actually a pretty ugly guitar sound.
Yeah,
I
but
think
it
it's a
works.
Fender Twin.
Yeah.
And they used a studio delay to get this, repeating of the signal, and it's pretty dead on. So another sound that is difficult to copy. Sometimes it's difficult to hear what have they been using, you got to kind of
analyze
and
then maybe sometimes I was first thinking they used the chorus, then I read about Electric Mistress Flanger, and then all the stories about his Telecasters. He was riding on the London Tube and he was sitting on top of the electro motor, and which was kind of getting the pickups less magnetic and blah blah blah.
Well, the thing about famous guitar sounds is once they go out of the studio onto a tour, the sound will be slightly or very different. You can tell every time.
Yeah, sure. Because you as a studio owner, you know
how to manipulate things.
Sure. I mean, in the studio, you do the best you can, and the thing is, whatever works. And I've done crazy things in the studio. By the way, I have a few pictures of me being a session guy back in the maybe 80s. This is Ian Remmer.
Console, huh?
Ian Remmer is a UK guy who used to be a producer, and he now lives in Los Angeles, I believe. That's the last thing I heard. And this guy, where's Paul? This is Paul. Oh, forgot his last name. And I played weird productions for British artists, for American artists. Percy Sledge. I played on records. I've never met the stars, but I played for some quite big names, not knowing it up front. I got some CDs afterwards, and then I found out, I played for whatever. Studio. I've spent lots of time in the studio.
Crazy. So here's like. And this is the Spanky Channel 1, which, for some reason, it tends to be my favorite channel.
On the AMP1.
On the AMP1.
Yeah, it's so alive. And this guitar was it Mike Oldfield, or who played it? The singer was
Roger Chapman.
Yeah.
I don't know who played the guitar, but it's sparkling.
Yeah, it's here.
So anyway, I could go on and on, showing you like some signature tones. This is also some people might laugh about this, but just do it. Try to get this sound. So So this sound is consisting of a compressor. It's got a fair amount of EQing.
Right.
It has a tone modifier for more presence. It turns my guitar from single coil to humbucking, you know, to make it more like a vintage tone and a ton of reverb. And this is the way I manipulate the sounds.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, you know, Gundy understands the tones from the player point of view, from the studio point of view. And this is what you can teach to people in your
Absolutely.
GK masterclass.
Well, the masterclass turned out to be a personalized coaching. This is why doing it over Skype or the internet is still tricky.
Yeah.
I mean, playing together with the latency, impossible.
Yeah.
And tone over a studio monitor.
It's also not the same like if you're sitting in the same room.
Sitting next to next, but you know, I do it more often because you can expect people from England
Other countries,
to fly over, right? But I also teach somebody from scratch because I used to have a large music school that was actually the first school of rock. It was called Rock Sound Music School.
Wow, in A-Town.
In A-Town,
Aschaffenburg.
And I teach people from scratch, meaning that if you want to sound like Keith Richards and you got your guitar up here, it won't work.
It will never work.
You know, if you don't have a rhythm, a good rhythm, you're never going to be a good musician.
Right.
You know, so the attitude of what do you want, how much time do you want to spend, how much do you want to suffer, you know, do you understand what equipment does?
Yeah.
And all these things get combined with the teaching for the sound. Because, let me finish this please, a lot of guys keep buying equipment for $20,000 and they don't sound much better. Maybe they feel a little better, but it doesn't change their life, right? And then you give them a transistor amplifier from Roland and a blues cube, a blues driver, and tell them, look, this is the setting to get basically a twin Fenderish image, and they're like, God damn it, this is the sound I was looking for. You know.
And see, that's the point. When you play the electric guitar, the aspect of being electric offers you a whole universe, but you have to cope with it. You have to understand what you are doing. And if you are too lazy and not digging into the aspect, you will not get the beauty of it. And I totally understand that it's hard for some people that have no insights and where to start and stuff like this. I mean, I have a little interest in the electronics, and I always have been I've been modifying shit.
You're a maniac.
Yeah, sure. But the thing is, I got this technical side just by nature.
Yeah, and by the way, much more than I do. My advantage is I got ears.
Sure.
But I couldn't tell you the difference between capacitors in these amplifiers.
Yeah. Well, my first hobby was electronics, and then I started to play the guitar. So just by nature, and of course the guitar was much stronger. So I kind of sold all my electronic stuff when I was more dedicated to the guitar, because I needed the money to buy more stuff and finance my band and stuff. And then a few years later, I went back as a demonstrator, as a musician, and then I ended up in the R&D team of Hughes & Kettner, and then I came back to be on the electronic side, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So the whole thing, but the point is, an electric guitar player that has no understanding of what's happening with an amplifier, with effects,
gain stages, signal change,
is lost, is like a driver without a driving license.
Yeah.
You have to understand the basics, at least the basics. And of course, there are people that are masters in tone when it comes to electronics, just because they have natural talent. Some people, I don't know about the edge, but this guy has talent creating tones, and other people just have taste and twiddle a few knobs, and only can master amps that are super simple. But for me, it is so much worth spending sometimes to understand what's going on.
I would even say it's a pleasure for the both of us, you know, to spend time trying to get further in achieving the tone that your ears can accept.
Yeah, and this is something maybe people can learn at your masterclasses as well. When I do my clinics, I always try to inspire people to go there and try to tell them, you know, when you turn this knob, this is what's happening, and this is gain staging, and this is, and then suddenly somebody, maybe not the whole audience, but a few people get it. And I could open up a few eyes, which make me very happy, because I can tell that some of people that I was kind of teaching and being so long in the industry, I could see years later, and then suddenly they sounded good. And this was so rewarding for me to see that actually some people get it. And there's not many people who are able to tell what you can do in your masterclass.
One good example is a lot of guys try to sound like Doug Aldrich, you know, you name them.
Yeah.
Just guys that they saw on the internet.
Yeah.
So then they appear at the class, and I asked them, play something for me. Okay. Of course, they're nervous, which we all know. You know, playing in front of other musicians is always a pain in the butt. But they're starting to noodle, or you know, there's no clear sentence coming out.
Yeah.
So most of the time, I clean up. I don't teach them to put more on top of an unstable fundament, you know, but just make, you know,
get to the basics and get to the point. You know?
Try to leave a lot of gaps for somebody else.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, this is the phrasing is the key, and you know, when I did my first solo record, I came up with the name when it was finished. The Beauty of Simplicity.
I have it.
Yeah, see, and because when I listened to the whole album, it wasn't the parts where I tried to be the fastest, because I wasn't it anyway, because Yngwie is always one faster. But it was the moments where I left the space. Where you know, this was so the beauty of simplicity was my kind of lesson that I learned after doing an album. And this is what you can teach people.
Even I, you know, I mean, when I was teaching in the 80s, they brought all the records from Marty Friedman, Weiss, Satriani, Malmsteen, and whatnot. And after a while, I got bored, because I said, I mean, I have lots of work to achieve that, and you have triple amount of work to achieve that. So why not, you know, get a good fundament and create your own tone, and then build the speed up by yourself. You don't have to come to a lesson, spend money, and build up speed. It doesn't make any sense. But that was a different time.
Sure.
You know, but throughout the years, I backed off and played less and less, and I just feel like a modern slow hand.
Sure.
You know, but I have a very, very strong focus on the music and the rhythm. And this is absolutely my thing. And this is why I hope we can play more together, because I like your tone, I like your phrasing, you know, but I like to deliver rhythm and chords and you know, music.
Sure.
Because I'm a musician. More than I'm a guitar player.
I totally get it. And I mean, this is maybe also some result of you being a producer in the studio. Because when you are a producer, you really dig deep into every track, into the arrangements, and you notice, oh, this guy is clever because he leaves some space and lets somebody else shine. And that's
well, I always have the whole picture in sight, you know. And sometimes a tambourine has more impact on the music than you're playing on the guitar. And this is what I really like, you know. So to finish up the GT10, here's another tone. Of course, you know, it's not the same, but I had to do this once, and it was very painful for me to play a Brian May solo, but because it's like printed in people's mind and heart, you know.
It's so hard to
Yeah.
to be on that classical thing because it's kind of almost like written out. There is no improvisation, and people expect this kind of iconic tone, phrasing, and if it's not right, it's not right. I know it's
and they're like, then you better leave it up, you know. My brother is so intense and strong, but I got the nasal kind of tone, you know, and of course it needs to be much louder, and so this can go on and on, going like. You can really tell your guitar is so sparkling, you know, that mine doesn't have a chance. I got a much thicker sound for this, you know, and you know, my mind inside said, you got to tweak something, you know, to take some bass out. But that's always, I think, the situation when you're in a musical situation.
You know where you are and where you would like to be.
Right.
And I have the same feeling sometimes that this is like, most people complain about my tone be a bit bright. But you see, in a musical situation, I can be so easily on top.
You're like a BMW driver on the German Autobahn. Get out of my way!
And here's my 200 horse. Yeah, but anyway, so this is...
Sounds cool, you know, and so this is just a basic overview of the old GT10. The 100 works fine, you know. I even wanted to like sell a GT3 from 99, and you know, when you sell something, you check it one more time.
And I think, oh no,
I couldn't give it away. Because you don't get much for it, $50, something like this. You know? And I couldn't because it has something that delivers. But every time you get a new unit, you have more options, more possibilities. Sometimes things get simpler, but that doesn't mean that your sound is better than before.
See, the thing happened also to Jennifer Batten. She was using Digitech gear for ages. And she has whatever the RP1000 or whatever that's called. I'm not so familiar with the unit. And she programmed her own signature sounds with that old unit. And she's still using it because it became part of her signature tones.
Right.
And all the crazy sounds that she found in this pedal, they don't exist in modern pedals anymore.
Yeah.
So, you know, some people even like vintage digital gear.
Maybe in 20 years, you know, you will praise the words and say, well, that was the good times.
Yeah.
But, you know, believe me, I had to, I received a lot of criticism, especially at the shows, because sometimes you're not responsible for what the people are hearing.
Yeah.
I can't tell what the people are hearing outside. I can't. I can hear
sure,
it
because
tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah,
you know.
but
and
you
maybe
are-
I'm disappointed. Maybe I'm not.
Yeah.
But if I don't have the control over the result, which I usually have as a producer,
Yeah.
you know, then it's sometimes you have to live with it.
Same here, you know, sometimes your sound is so fuzzy on headphones, you know, you know, headphone demos, and then it's like maybe my monitor on stage was okay, and then there's this new amp sound shit, and it wasn't shit, you know, it was just a shitty headphone mix. And so people, this is something, you know, of course, there's
It's a psychological thing, you know.
Absolutely, yeah.
I have to tell you this funny thing. I recorded some of the examples that I want to show tonight at home, and it was, I think, Sunday, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I recorded something, and at the end of the recording, I said in German, "This is pretty disgusting." You know, so like, shame on you, Gundy Keller. And I listened to it in the morning, and it wasn't.
No, yeah.
I just put myself down in that
yeah.
moment. I couldn't hear it, couldn't feel it. And I'm convinced you cannot take more than like 30 minutes to 1 hour of distortion, you know, before your brain gets an overload.
Fucked. I know what you mean. Sometimes, for me, being on trade shows is I start to hate guitars.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing that makes me feel good is playing. Playing is still fun, but listening, it's kind of, oh guys, I got the overdose, you know. And this is the point. If I learned a big lesson for me in tone is, or also for inspiration in general. If you have an overdose, simply go and have a break. Have a break. Play less. Don't practice. Have a break, and then the next time you really enjoy what you're doing. It's like I have once made a diet, like not eating. I should do it maybe again. But the funny experience was after like 2 weeks of eating nearly nothing, just drinking some water and stuff, I started to my eating with tasting one little thing of salt, you know, and just one grain of salt was like a universe.
Your sensitivity is reset.
Yeah, and this is the same.
This is why
overdrive sounds and volume.
No, this is why we like our sound one day. The next day we think it sucks.
Yeah.
And the day after we think it's the best ever.
It's
heard,
my best
you know?
tone
So
ever.
it's
You know,
like a roller coaster, emotional.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It is the painful aspect about playing guitar and electronics, and also the fun factor.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do we have some more time? Can we?
Oh, sure. We never stop
until
Oh,
Christmas.
it's fucking late already.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, I want to give you a few more examples. So, can you like show this system here with your camera? Or is it too difficult?
We got the overheads.
Okay.
So it's already
Wait,
big in the picture.
oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I have not transferred all the sounds from here, just like Jennifer Batten, into the GT-1000. So I just was checking it out, especially with the Iridium, which I think, by the way, is not only a metal amplifier.
Well,
for me, is the ultimate AMP1 rock style.
Sure, but you know, I had to come up with a
marketing.
No, it's a classification. It's like what makes it different, and then of course I started with a very bluesy one, the first one that we just heard, and then I made the Mercury edition, which was kind of sitting more in the middle between all the styles, got some bluesy and a little bit of metal. And then where do we go from there? But the thing is, every amp kind of have overlapping ranges. So there's people that play the Iridium and they play blues on it, and there's nothing wrong about it. And by the way, our dear friend, or my friend Andreas Kloppmann, who is a vintage guy, also enjoys the Iridium a lot for classic tones. And it's simply an amp that has a slightly different foundation, and then of course you can play with it whatever you like. But if you want to play metal, don't do it on the first one, do it on the Iridium. This is more your cup of tea, and therefore I give it the
this is why I mainly use the clean channel and the vintage channel, you know, and I discovered that the clean channel has so much headroom that you can use it like one of these old bad boys right here, and push it with a booster.
And it sounds killer.
And it just gives me the tone that I can feel, all right? So the layout of this unit is a little more flexible than the GT10 because it's got these tiny knobs. And for years I've begged Roland and Boss to, you know, change to these. I mean, the Boss switches here, you can run a truck over there, these things.
Yeah, so super sturdy,
super solid, right? And it's also a trademark thing. And you find them, you know, you can feel them and you will never destroy them. But you know, to have 10 switches on a unit like that, it's impossible, right?
And they used to have 5 or 6 only.
I also have like the clean, crunch, fat overdrive and the lead channel on these 4 memory switches.
Right.
And I can use this knob right here to turn this unit into 10 more
presets?
No, not presets, but 10 more functions. So in total, I got 20 functions.
Okay.
Right? Sounds more complicated than it is because I keep it rather simple. So in this mode, I have patch up and down because I can, you know, easily switch from one patch to another, especially at trade shows or at cover gigs, right? So over here, I have an overdrive, like a tube screamer or a blues driver or a clean booster. This is 3 modulations, you know, like I like rotary, Leslie effect, you know. Got Univibe, you know.
Yeah, cool.
Because I got infected by Hendrix and Robin Trower in particular. And here's for instance, a tremolo or vibrato or something else, right? Here's always a chorus, here's always a overdrive. This is the delay, and this is the tap tempo for the delay, right? And
are these switches kind of freely assignable?
Yes, everything. And you can assign 16 functions on one knob. So if you want to do real crazy things by the flick of a switch,
everything possible.
So this one can also be held down for 2 seconds and turn it into a tuner. I might ask Boss, you know, to make it a little faster, okay? So this is why I don't have to use a tuner, an extra spare tuner with me, okay? So going out, and here I can use, for instance, a looper, you know, just to, you know, create music or to also record something at a sound check and leave the stage and listen to what my guitar rig sounds like.
Ah, cool.
Okay?
So
I can go like... I can... play on top and stuff. And I can stop it and I can erase it easily.
Yeah, okay.
But I use it, this I use for personal things, but not on stage. Maybe at a sound check, I want to noodle a little bit, you know, and get the sounds together. But basically I'm on this setting, you know, distortion, 3 modulation, and this is the chorus delay. And of course I can switch in between different crunch and distortion stages, okay? So I'm going to give you one example. Of course, we need to balance things out. I may have to use my volume maybe a little bit too loud. So the AMP1 is following not by MIDI currently.
But you could. I mean, this
I
has
could. I did
yeah.
it with the GT10.
Yeah, with
you
the
know,
other
I used
setup.
all 4 channels.
Yeah.
But currently, I use
the standard switch. You switch channels. You switch clean and overdrive, correct? And boost.
clean and overdrive because this has an amp control and you can switch from one to another function.
Overdrive. Yeah.
And whatever you set, you could go from clean to modern if you
Right,
want,
yeah.
but only these 2.
Yeah.
If you don't use MIDI, if you use MIDI, then it's
Everything's
cool. Okay?
possible. Yeah.
So I would like it as would be my switching guy.
Okay. Oh.
So you just have to step on bank up.
Okay. You give
know.
me a sign,
Yeah,
and I'm. You know, the
Thomas
rock star.
Blug with his
Yeah.
new occupation. You know? So, is everything ready here? We'll see.
We'll see. Hey, cool.
We screwed up. But anyway, you know, what's important for me is that I have interaction with my distortion and my amplifier. And although the volume is very, very low, I can still feel the guitar and, you know, being able to, you know, influence something, right? Mm-hmm. So I use this as a preamp volume pedal and not as a master volume. Not as a master volume. I use, you know, an additional one in case I need it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is the basic concept of having 4, you know, different clean, crunch, fat, and lead stages, and it just switches from vintage to clean. And my first one indicates 0. Okay. And that one even has a different indication of another amplifier because my patches can basically be transferred to other amplifiers, but you have to tweak them.
Okay.
It takes about 5 to 10 minutes.
So you have this pedal board and you can use it with the AMP1 or you can use it with whatever amp is available.
Right. Yeah. But you know, sometimes you're surprised how well it works and sometimes it doesn't work at all. Yeah. But you know, I don't need different delays and reverb. It's all there. Right, or chorus, so it's basically the same. And this indicates at the time CR0, which will be changed to IRI for iridium 0, and 0 means that the first channel has been taken out. So the preamp it was not in
used.
there. So I get like super sparkling
Yeah.
sound directly on its post amplifier.
I see. Okay.
Okay. Sometimes I do that, especially when you do the Nile Rodgers kind of
studio
chic,
clean
sounds. Yeah. Okay. So here is another example. I'm going to use a Telecaster because I think you never feature Telecasters.
Well, I have not a good Telecaster. That's
and honestly, I used to hate them because the Teles I was playing in the 70s, 80s, they sounded brittle, bright, awful. They felt awful, and you couldn't do the faster stuff. You know, they didn't have the oomph and the punch. But I own 5 Telecasters now. You
They're
know,
great guitars.
And whenever it comes to deliver punch and character, this is the instrument, even for the neck pickup. So this is a more P90 direction kind of tele, right? And I'm give it a try. So maybe we can play this one together. It's a more of a rockabilly style kind of thing. But I wish I could find the patch for that.
I switch off my delay.
Better.
And if it's rockabilly, and keep it simple.
Okay.
Or maybe use the boosters.
So my sound consists of, you know, channel 1 plus boost. And I do that most of the time because I leave this on and rather turn down, you know.
The volume on the guitar.
On the guitar, it still sparkles. So I got like... You know, you play differently. These are thicker strings than on this guitar, and it's a different type of guitar sound is coming out, okay? But we'll give it a try. It's a rockabilly kind of shuffle, you know, and you just play on
follow.
Ready, Freddy? He's relaxed. Huh?
Well.
Way cool. Of course, you know, I got guitar in the backing when I do a demonstration and a solo. But basically, you can tell it's the right direction. It's not the perfect rockabilly sound, you know. I prefer like a Gretsch guitar, White Falcon. It's way cool. So my next example is a really clean.
How many songs do you have on the computer here still?
On this session, I have approximately like 50 songs.
Okay, that's too much. But for our episode today.
Maybe 3, 4.
Okay, so let's do another one, and we got some questions coming up here.
Okay.
So let's do the next one. What is it?
It's like a absolute super funky tone, you know.
Funky.
But I have to look for the particular patch. And it's gone. Yeah. Very, very quick and simple.
Yeah.
Because some people ask for like
Dry.
a super dry funk sound.
Yeah.
You know?
Killer.
It was a little mid-rangey for me. I would change it, but the direction is
there.
absolutely there. Okay. So questions, maybe.
Okay, maybe we have a few questions. So Jens Geilich asks us, Gundy, is it possible to show us creating a preset from scratch? Let's say a nice British rock tone as example. To be honest, the big lesson you should give in your GK Masterclass. But what, because we don't want to lose too much time.
Yeah.
Okay, make a quick one. Whatever, it's up to you. Pam.
I have to look for a particular patch. For instance, this patch I played in the ballad, right? So I used vintage plus boost.
Yeah.
All right. And inside of this patch, I got a heavy volume boost. You know,
In front of the amp?
No, post.
Post.
In the send return,
Yeah.
which sometimes brings your amplifier more to life. It makes it more pump and more work. I got two noise gates inside, you know, one before your
input?
preamplifier, the input, and one after. And I only have a little reverb and a little delay. So the basic tone, you know. So it's almost a shame that this GT-1000 doesn't have much to do, but of course I make it clean. You know, I add the effects and I, you know, add more oomph to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's it.
So it's as simple as that. The only thing that I like to do is I like to add, you know, some. Swirly kind of rotary effect, and a lot of guys do the mistake to put it after the distortion.
No. There's
Modulation effects into the amplifier,
in
like
front
the
of
good
the
old
amp,
days.
you know, old school.
Even chorus.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm totally with you.
So the next one is Univibe, you know. And usually I have a phaser here, phase 90 like you have, and my delay, tap tempo.
That's it. Yeah.
You know.
Okay, that's the first question here. Next question, Matt Mitchell. Hi Gundy and Thomas. Two questions. Question one, tip for practicing better phrasing. Question two, Gundy, do you have a custom case or back? Okay, let's answer the better phrasing.
This is guy. Oh, I know this guy.
Okay, liebe Grüße aus Ascheberg. Okay, first we have to comment Ascheberg is a German nickname for Aschaffenburg.
You know what's ridiculous? We both have such a great dialect.
Yeah,
you know,
and we talk in English.
These two elder statesmen try to speak proper English.
Yeah.
you know, we could have so much more
Fun.
sense of humor, you know.
In our local dialect. Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Well, the first question is the more interesting one.
Yeah.
Tips for better phrasing. Well, then, you know, we can both answer the question right here. When you play together with somebody, first of all, your brain has to be divided into two halves. One is outside,
and the other guy
with the other guy with the music, so to speak, and the other part is what you do, and not only how you execute the notes, but you know, what do you contribute to the music?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to record a little riff, and you play your contribution.
Whatever.
Okay?
Yeah. What key?
It's E. Just pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Okay, let me comment that.
Yeah.
So Thomas was actually playing or working like a singer. You know, you were singing melodies, and this is what I recommend to most musicians. Can you sing your melodies? And as a matter of fact, I'm starting to sing more, you know, because I got more responsibilities live, you know, for singing second voices. But what I'm really good at is singing my solos, because that's what we do, and that's why we get totally hoarse after a gig.
Yeah.
You know, so you should be able to go like. So this, you got to have a connection to your fingers, okay?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. Take it easy. It's like taking your car onto the German Autobahn. Don't go 200 kilometers right away.
Slow, you know, slowly get into
or
the
like
groove.
into a talk.
Yeah.
Okay? And of course, know your guitar. This is the best channel switcher of all time.
The volume
It's
pot.
not, you know, you have a lot of power. And of course, you have to have a good vibrato and a clean dampening technique. So if you can't produce clean tones, you can phrase the best licks, whatever, you know. But think more like a vocalist.
Right. For me, I will do maybe a half episode about this topic in the near future. It's already on my list. And I have a few examples that I will show you about how I became the guitar player that I kind of am now and how I connected to build up phrasing and, you know, kind of leaving gaps and breathing in and breathing out, and of course shred a little bit but not too much. And so you will see in the future episode an hour of examples in this. But this, you know, this was beautiful because it totally is in sync what I will say. And of course we can talk hours because it's like, hey, this is like communication. It's like, you know, if you are starting a communication and then you have tons of things to say and you never stop and there is no real interaction anymore.
Right.
So you have to be sensitive with who is there, what do you do, and get a feel for all the aspects. Okay, good question. Next question. Gundy, do you have a custom case or bag for the GT-1000?
I actually buy 14 euro IKEA shelf boards, paint them black, put some handles on, you know, extend them a little bit. And I got magnets from you, you know, to put this on. And I also put magnets on this underneath. And that's what I use. And then I have to look for a bag. Sometimes I use old suitcases and wrap them in foam or whatever. And in this case, for most gigs is okay, but for traveling, you need to have a good soft case and then put that into a flight case.
Right.
Okay.
So paint it back.
Different question.
Okay, next question. Patrick Hess, do you even use the Leslie in front?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I insist on using the Leslie in front because one very bad mistake, even from guys that are giving lessons about sound, is to put the phaser after distortion.
Yeah.
It sounds synthesized.
Yeah.
And Roland put that into one of their Cube amplifiers, and I'm like,
ouch. Yeah, it hurts.
You know, but it was a technical thing, you know.
They couldn't do it the other way because it was kind of in the digital part and before
some guys do it because of cost reason, but
I know.
The sound comes first, always. And that's why no compromise.
I had to do this with using Kettner once too, and I hate it.
Yeah.
But anyway, but the thing about a modulation effect or the Leslie in front is also that the amp kind of saturates the effect, and you can play with the saturation a bit. You know, even on a clean setting, you have like this nice wall of sound, and if your amp is doing everything, the effect is not so intense.
That's the first thing, and just imagine tape echoes in the good old days. They had to be connected into the distortion. That's why they got pushed away, because it was like two guitar players trying to squeeze into, you know, the amplifier. Okay, so it's a whole different sound, and you know, I use chorus also in front of distortion. It's very subtle, but it makes sense. Okay.
So next question, AMP1, when does it come? When do we get a video? Well, it will come and you will get a video. But, you know, we are still working on it, and the only thing I can tell you, it will be killer, because I've worked on parts of it, and it all has to come together. It's super complex. We keep you posted, but please, 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 we need a little bit more patience. And the good thing about Gundy is he knows that stuff from a practical point of view. And of course, he will be one of the insiders. I will ask him about the operation stuff that I thought of. He doesn't know yet, but after we finish this, I will probably hand him out the first version of the instruction manual. And then maybe he goes home and says, oh, man, we should do it another way. But now is the time. Now we work at a future product with different people like you, and not with customers next year. So that's the big advantage.
Time. It takes as long as it needs to make it, you know, perfect or make it working.
So guys, you know, I know you want it as bad as I do, but the thing is, it will come. We will talk about it, and it will be brilliant. I
want to give you one more example with the GT-1000 and the AMP1, which I have to change to
the classic
channel with the boost, because I indicated with IRE for Iridium, IRE 3 plus.
Okay,
plus means
cool.
the boost. And one sought after tone is Joe Satriani's Crying, you know, a ballad that is quite hard to play because it's a major scale that you shouldn't fail notes.
No,
right?
I mean, it's nothing.
And he's got so much control over his distortion and his melodies, and he's one of the shredders that still, you know, are on the top of my list, you know, that know how to make music.
He's melodic, and he is a great composer too. I mean, this song is a great composition.
So I'm going to give it a try. Maybe it works, maybe not. You can contribute a little bit with some clean sounds, you know.
I try to stay away. So Mr.
Try to stay away.
Gundy Satriani. Yeah. Hey, man. Yeah.
Well, my internet side, you can do better, but you know,
No,
I think it was okay.
It was
You
killer.
know, the balance cool. You know,
Yeah.
your sound is cool,
All good.
and the option is there
Yeah.
to get this image.
Yeah.
I mean, not the same sound, but
No,
to
but
get
you
this
get-
basic image. You know?
It works. It works the same way like his original tone.
And I mean, how far can I turn this up? It's full up, no noise.
Okay, so the gates are. Oh. Oh yeah.
They really react to what's coming from the guitar.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a rather difficult examples to achieve. You know, I mean that's part of my masterclass. You know, to really show the people how can you get that. But you have to be able to dampen your strings. You know, and if you like bend the high notes, you better make sure nothing else is sounding.
Yeah.
This is what a lot of people
don't get because
have problems with. Okay, so another surprise I have, if you would like, I can also connect an acoustic guitar to the AMP1 if you use the right tools. Where's the cable?
cable is
Right
always
here.
a good tool.
So this is, oops, that's the wrong patch. Yeah,
High gain or acoustic.
typical.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
not the right choice, but it's cool.
So anyway, because sometimes I'm tired of bringing an acoustic guitar to a gig for one song
Yeah.
and getting a bad sound, because you go on to the iBox, you know,
And the guy fucks it up. So with this, you
Well,
you can do your own setup.
most of the people don't have the experience. Let's put it that way, okay? And they don't have the time. So what I do, I just use my whole rig, you know, and run it through. But I have to pay attention to the gain stages, of course, because this is putting out a lot of gain, you know, and so I got to be careful. So anyway, I want you to play with me. This is a nice kind of tune. I'm going to switch on a, let's see. Just going to put on a chorus. It's an E major. That's it.
Okay, E major
so
is
fluffy
easy,
kind
yeah.
of solo tone. This is a good example about phrasing. You know, you understood the music. We could start a conversation
And
without
react.
preparing, react.
yeah.
You know, basically the key, and you were listening to me, and vice versa. And this is what phrasing is about. You know? And this is where you are really good at. You got your own voice. you know, on your guitar.
That's all I got.
Well,
Well, at least something.
all right. So one more surprise is
Okay. Which is the volume? Whatever.
here.
Yeah.
Is you know, I'm a bass player. Okay.
I put it in the stand.
And sometimes I just want to bring small equipment.
And you use the same rig for bass as well.
Yes, I do. And I found a good combination to use the clean channel, you know, even with the booster, because it gives you a little, you know, the old school kind of.
You know, back in the days, the bass players used to play tube amps. And the tube amps, they had a nice growl with it. And, you know,
just think Marshall Super Bass or whatever,
Yeah.
you know.
And
these were regular SLPs,
Yeah.
super leads with a different kind of input stage and stuff. So this is the actual sound of the GT-1000 onto your amplifier, onto your post amplifier, okay? Where's the sound? And we also have a drum groove for that.
what key will this be?
This will, yeah, I know these things. I had a jam session with a very skilled jazz player, and he said basically C, and it was a disaster. I turned off the volume. So anyway, it's going to F sharp, and then we go 3 up. Okay.
Okay.
So
You start,
so
I follow.
I just want to show you the sound and the
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
So this is the GT sound, and this is the
The AMP1 and the GT.
hold on, that was different. I'm sorry. This is the GT sound.
Okay.
Very, very dry, and
Yeah.
this is the AMP1 channel 1.
Yeah.
One more time. For studio, probably better, but you know. I prefer it, you know, if it clips a little bit.
Yeah, and it makes you play differently because it feels tube. You can feel the tube saturation.
So I recommend it, you know, to use one of your amplifiers also for a bass, you know, maybe with a little bit of compression, octave or whatever, you know. So let's give it a try. Come on,
Yeah,
let's
okay.
jam.
What
F
is it?
sharp.
F sharp.
Two. But it's fun. It's totally fun, you know.
Yeah.
So a lot of options you have with this monster.
Yeah.
And I think we have to do a separate clinic workshop tour
Absolutely.
or whatever,
Yeah,
you know, and, you know, bring it out in the world because it's just too much to show, right?
Yeah. I mean, now we had already 2 hours. Oops.
Yeah.
Hope the bass stays healthy.
I hope so, too.
Yeah. So for me, you know, it was a killer insight into Gundy's world and into a life behind that stuff that you've done in your life, and there's stuff that I wasn't that focused on, and what you can share as knowledge from what you experienced in the studio with the designing
As a teacher.
as a teacher, yeah. I didn't know about that
I
side
had to
of you.
direct 22 people in my school.
Oh, fuck,
you
yeah.
know, so, yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
You know, I gave a few lessons mainly when I was like 20 and I needed some money, and I learned a lot from them. The best things when I was 20 is they came with all the Ozzy Osbourne records, and I had to figure out Randy Rhoads solos. Fucking hell! And then of course you are a teacher and you wanted to make the money, so you had to learn the shit, which was a good exercise for me as well. So I learned my vocabulary also as a teacher.
Well, one advice I can give to the people is listen to any kind of instrument.
Absolutely.
You know, sometimes I get blown away by a pan flute player, or you know, somebody that is just playing a drum groove with a bass drum, a hi-hat, and a snare for half an hour.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's all
it's
takes.
about music, and it's not about gear. Gear is just a tool, and it depends on if you can figure out how to do that. And this is where I can help the people.
Sure.
But you know, most people are saying, "Can I have the patches?" Okay. And you know, I refuse to do that because of several reasons. First of all, you send them the patches and then they sound like shit because it doesn't interact with their equipment, and word of mouth goes around.
Yeah.
Okay? The second thing is, if you do that, you will never learn how to drive a car if you don't, you know, really get down to the basics.
Yeah.
You know?
So I totally agree. It's like the driver's license for a car. You know, my grandmother, my grandmother was a good driver, but you know, she had to learn how to drive the car. And I will never forget. This is a funny one. Back in the days, 70s probably, when I was a kid, she had a Duff, which was a Dutch car. And she was not learning to get the gearbox shifting, so it was like the first automatic. And the funny thing about that car was it went 140 kilometers this way, you know, forward, and if she was going to reverse, it went 140 backwards.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, this was
the fastest car going backwards.
Going backwards. And she had to learn that, because otherwise, one day she, you know, she went too fast backwards and she was crashing the car. So the point is, what I'm saying here is, you have to understand what you're doing. And once you understand, you know how to deal with it. And this is the thing. Just giving the tools to somebody, you know, you do the same mistake like my grandmother. Oh, I go backwards, boom, and then bam, this was the car, you know?
Well, you know, of course I want to help people, but we got to make a living, right? Sure. And especially in these days, I mean, the last 6 months was just torture, right? We can't go out of the house, and I mean, people are hiding. But for me, it will be interesting to see what kind of demand I get from people that are not able to come to my studio in the nearby Frankfurt, Germany, right? So currently I have a programmer setting up a web shop, and then Skype lessons and whatnot. With sound, it is tricky, you know, but the basics you can definitely teach somebody. You know, with certain kind of tools, I think it's possible to monitor the sound properly. So anyone that wants to get in touch with me, go to gkmasterclass.com, send me an email, and let's make a phone call or a Skype call
and find out
take it from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like going to a doctor. Yeah, I mean, you're a sound doctor. First, you have to know what's the problem, and then you can adjust to the level, and then you can, with all your experience, you can tailor a program that works. And then if it's a hopeless patient, maybe not, but
you know, when it's hopeless, when somebody has no rhythm, then I refuse to go further, because you're just lying to somebody. If you don't have rhythm, you can't take dance lessons.
I understand. But you know, anything else, I think there's so much information that you gathered through all your life in all the different situations.
Much more than just parameters.
Yeah. And but this is so it's a super special, worthy thing that you can give, and there's not that many people out there. So I mean, it's just because I know you since my first days on trade shows from the last century, and it's like, this man has the experience.
The cool thing about this masterclass is that my average customer is over 40, 45 years old. The guy that built his house, fathered his children, and planted the trees.
And didn't have the time to
didn't have the
do
time
learning
to
curve
follow
like
his
us.
heart, and he's coming back to his passion. And a lot of the times they come back for intensive coachings for playing.
Right.
And after that, they record at my studio, to fulfill their dream, to make a record, and this, of course, is the ultimate, to finally make music with this stuff. And not only be able to
dial in a few sounds.
The sounds.
I mean, the sounds is just the starting point for the music, and this has to go around full circle. Well, I have to thank you all.
It was a long session.
Yes, this was a long session. And hey, thank you so much, Gundy, for coming here.
You're welcome.
Again, ggamemasterclass.com. And I'm sure as the time goes by and maybe COVID-19 is over, we will do something together in any kind of way. There's always... There's something on the list.
After all, we must. We must do it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So guys, thanks for joining in, and see you again next week. And thanks for having Gundy Keller.
Buddy.